You're listening to Essential Discourse with Bruce Smith. This is the podcast that examines the perplexities of real life from a holistic perspective. Bruce is committed to delivering honest and crucial dialogue that is transformative, and with his guests, will not only identify problems, but also bring forward solutions that are relevant, restorative, reasonable, and reliable. Thanks for listening. Let's return to the podcast. Here's your host, Bruce Smith.
What's happening, people? How y'all doing? This is Bruce Smith with the Essential Discourse Podcast. Look, if you've been following me at all on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok, you know that I've been talking about overthinking. Say it with me, overthinking. And today we just want to talk about that in greater detail on this episode of Essential Discourse Podcast. Overthinking, man, it can be a crutch. It can be a cast. It can be a ball and chain on your body mentally, which can cause you to be a quadriplegic, paralyzed, because you're constantly overthinking. It has a negative effect on many people. There are people in the scientific community that believe that too much thinking is a disease. Overthinking is now one of the criteria that mental health professionals use to recognize early signs of mental illness. And you just think about it. Just think about it. All the times that you've had conversations, or you may have said it this yourself, I'm in a bad headspace. Or say your spouse, your boyfriend, girlfriend says something and they mean absolutely nothing about it, but in your mind, you're trying to analyze the hidden meaning and the hidden motives for what they said or didn't say. Overthinking. And a lot of overthinking, this is just me. I'm not a medical professional, but this is just me. I think that a lot of overthinking is a result over what we let into our eye gates, into our ear gates, from the things that we view and see on television and social media. Many of us believe that if it's just from a relationship standpoint, as an example, many of us believe that if he ain't opening the car doors, if he ain't constantly telling me I'm beautiful, if he ain't constantly up under me, well, he must be thinking about something else. Or she doesn't get dressed around the house the way that she gets dressed when we're talking about going somewhere. She doesn't greet me with a big old hug when I walk in the door. She must be thinking about somebody else. These are all images and scenarios that have been played out over and over and over on social media and on TV. You just think about many of the great love stories that we have, right? Pretty woman, cheater, promiscuous lifestyle on both parts. The Notebook, right? A cheater and a heartbreaker. And these are the things that we romanticize in our minds, right? And you get to overthinking, well, if they can have that life, I should be able to have that life, or it should be the exact same way with me. And then you put in social media, man, where you have these people who are basically acting. These are amateur actors who have a platform whose job is to influence the way that you think. Now, that's already a problem if you are an overthinker, and now you've letting people who don't know anything about you affect the way that you think. They influence the way that you think. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it real quick. Overthinking. Overthinking is to think much about something, to put too much time into thinking about or analyzing something in a way that is more harmful than helpful. It's more harmful than helpful. Overthink a situation or a problem. We make the problem bigger than what it is. We make a mountain out of a molehill. I know that we've all heard that statement, right? Someone who overthinks and worries too much. Overthinks leads to worrying. And now you're worrying. And now you're harming yourself. You are constantly imagining the most negative things that can happen, the most awful things that can happen, the most non-advantageous things that can happen. I was a terrible actor when I went to New York. So I'm going to be a terrible actor in Chicago, in Austin, in Arizona, because it happened to me once and I had a negative experience. It's going to happen again. And I just keep thinking about it. And I put too much thought into that instead of just having a bad evening, which brings us to, current events, the presidential debate not too long ago. Joe Biden had a poor performance. He had a poor performance, but Joe isn't overthinking it. The media and potential supporters are overthinking that. He had a bad performance. It happens. No athlete anywhere on earth, whether it be soccer, tennis, basketball, football, baseball, cricket, crocheting, badminton, pickleball, no athlete has a A+ game every time out. Michael Jordan missed. Kobe missed and laid some eggs. Shaquille O'Neal, he missed. Charles Barkley, he missed. This kid now, Anthony Edwards, he didn't have a good series. He didn't have a good night. Most nights against Dallas in the playoffs. But does that make him any less of an effective or great basketball player? No. But you know what? If he overthinks it, now his confidence is shot. And that's what we do as individuals. We give too much attention to the negative stuff. We give too much attention to the things that we can't control versus the things that we can control. And it's sad. It's sad. So what causes this action of overthinking? I think it's fear. It's fear. It's fear of failure. It's fear not being accepted. The fear of being rejected. It's fear. It is fear. Plain and simple. I think we are afraid of not being appreciated, not being valued because of, like I said in the illustration that I gave you earlier about the debate, one bad performance, one mistake, one misstep. And now we think that we're being judged by that for the rest of our existence. In the military, we used to have a saying that I used to think was true. You can do 99 things well and do one thing bad, and that's what they're going to slam you against the wall for. Now, that was true. That was true amongst poor leadership. But I can't control poor leadership. I can't control poor leadership, but I can control me. I can learn from that mistake and not make the same mistake again, right? So the results of overthinking are you miss opportunities because you're so stuck up here. You miss opportunities. You miss opportunities to do things that, everyday people would probably kill to do. But because you're overthinking, that opportunity passes you by. And who's to say that opportunity will come back into the arena of your life? But you're overthinking. Another thing, you miss out on experiences. You miss out on what could be advantageous, positive experiences. Why? Because you're a prisoner of your own mind. You're self-sabotaging yourself. You're saying, I'm not good enough. This is essentially what you're doing when you're overthinking. You run the risk of projecting your fears on other people, which will cause you to be isolated from others because you're overthinking and you're so negative. You're so the opposite of a positive person, a person who believes the best is going to happen. You're a person who believes the worst is going to happen, and you end up isolating yourself because nobody wants to be around a Nancy, a downer Debbie. Nobody wants to be around a person who has absolutely nothing positive to say, nothing positive to contribute to the conversations. You're walking around like you drank pickle juice and 18-month-old apple cider vinegar. Nobody wants to be around that. And you do it to yourself by overthinking. You kill your own confidence. You kill your confidence. You kill your self-esteem. And you replace all that with anxiety and depression, which can lead to other horrible things. These are the results of overthinking. These are the results. These are some of the few results of overthinking. And overthinking, man, like I said earlier, it's dangerous. It is a dangerous, dangerous, dangerous game that has very real consequences. And one of those real consequences, I talked about it briefly earlier, is isolation. Human beings are not designed to be alone. We need affection. We need people that we can be around and who will stimulate us and who will encourage us. But if you're so negative and you're so wrapped up into trying to analyze everything that someone says to you, positive or negative, you isolate yourself. And that is a bad, bad state to be in. So how do we fix it? Well, if you're far gone in this overthinking, overthinking scenario, you tried to stop on your own, seek some professional help. There's nothing wrong with speaking to a therapist. There's nothing wrong with speaking to a trained and licensed therapist to help you get out of the practice that you got into. And I would imagine that sometimes overthinking is a result of fear, like we mentioned earlier, but it can also be the results of a bad experience, a negative experience that caused you pain. And so now this has become your self-defense mechanism to overthink. And self-defense mechanisms just don't happen overnight. This is years of practice of building this habit. And it's going to take some time with some help, with someone to guide you through the process to break this habit. So first and foremost, if you are at that point, you need to seek professional medical help. A therapist. Let me say it again. Therapist. Therapist is not a dirty word. It's not a curse word. Everybody needs a pastor and everybody needs a therapist. That is my personal opinion. That is how I live my life. There is nothing wrong with having a therapist. You got to have somebody that you can talk to and who can help you talk it out so that you can get to a better spot in life. And if that's not you at this point, but you do realize that you are an overthinker, trust the foundation. Trust the foundation that you have. Trust that foundation. I hope that your parents did a great job in trying to raise you to know the difference between right and wrong and to be a not only a analytical thinker, but a critical thinker, right? But not to the point to where you just sabotage your own self because you can't stop analyzing and being critical in your thinking of everyday small or medium-sized issues, problems, situations. We can't continue You can't continue to magnify the small things into mountains. You know, you got a small little crawfish, little mound that you've turned into Mount Everest. Trust your instincts. And when you start trusting those instincts, build upon those instincts. Build upon that foundation. Build upon it. Learn from your mistakes. Learn from the things that cause you pain, that cause you embarrassment. Learn from your failure. Don't fear failure. Learn from the failure. Now, nobody wants to fail. Now, not even me. I want to win at everything I do. But is that probable? No, it's not very probable. It's not very probable that I'm going to win. Like right now, I wish I had 5 million subscribers to this podcast, but I don't. I don't even have 50. You dig what I'm saying? I don't even have 50, but I'm learning every day with every episode, with every strategy that I use to market this podcast, right? I fail at a lot more than I'm successful at. But you know what? When I succeed, it's because I learned from the failures. And you got to learn to control what you can control. Learn to control what you can control. And those things you can't control, be aware of them, but don't overthink them because you can't control it. You can't control whether it rains today, but you can be prepared for the rain. You can't control if Junebug get out here in his 2024 Camaro LT and drives 150 miles per hour on the back road going to Austin. You can't control if he's doing that and you're not in the car. So you can't be worried about Junebug. Junebug knows the difference between right and wrong. You know that you taught Junebug the proper way to drive, right? But every time Junebug leaves your presence, you're just overthinking. You're thinking about the worst things that can happen. Oh God, stop. Because Junebug ain't thinking about you. Junebug doing what Junebug doing. And you over here overthinking, raising your blood pressure, raising your stress level about something you can't control. Control what you can control. Control what you can control. Overthinking. It's a killer, guys. It's a killer. It's a killer of dreams. It's a killer of self-confidence. It's a killer of motivation. It is a killer. It is a killer. It is a killer of everything that makes human beings the dominant species on Earth. It kills your desire. It kills your aspirations. It kills the very thing that we were blessed with, that we have been granted to help us to achieve higher and higher and higher levels of success. But you can't do that overthinking, because overthinking, you become a prisoner. You become a prisoner of your own mind. And as a prisoner, you can't go where you want to go. As a prisoner, you can't do what you want to do. As a prisoner, you don't have liberty. As a prisoner, you are restricted to what the jailer, what the correctional officer will allow you to do. And your correctional officer is your mind. So free yourself from that prison. If you need professional help, get professional help. If you're not at that point and you recognize that some of the things that I'm talking about applies to you, use some of these techniques. And you may need to link up with someone who has experienced this and figure out with them what might be your best course to rid yourself of the disease of overthinking. Hey, I'm Bruce Smith. This is the Essential Discourse Podcast. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I I want to encourage you to visit edpshow.com. That's www.edpshow.com. Subscribe to our community and follow our social medias. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. We have a YouTube channel where you can view most of the content that you're listening to on the podcast. And we have shorts that we discuss little things like this and others. I'm encouraging you to just join the community, guys. Join the community. I was real serious about I want 5 million subscribers and 5 million people downloading my episodes. I'm serious about that. But we can't get that. I can't get that if you won't join me in this quest. So thank you for listening. Thank you for joining. Thank you for your continued support. And we'll see you next time on the Essential Discourse Podcast. Peace.